Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Space Foundation Chief Executive Officer, Rear Admiral Retired, Tom Zellebor.
It's so great to see 10,000 plus of my closest friends back to the Space Symposium, and good evening and welcome to this 37th Space Symposium. And if you were with us 7 months ago, welcome back. It's great to see everyone at this prestigious event where we are once again back to full strength. I will guarantee 2 things. We are bigger and better than ever. I know you hear that often about us. And second, that the weather will not be like it was in August. This is springtime in the Rockies. As many of you know, the weather can be a challenge. You may experience all 4 seasons, sometimes in one day. Thank you to Northrop Grumman for being tonight's corporate host, and thanks for the Broadmoor and the Broadmoor CEO, Jack DeMoley, and his incredible staff who support this event every year. Without this time-tested partnership, none of this would be able to take place. While 7 months is not an incredibly long period of time, it's still enough time for our shared world to have changed. We've had even more commercial crews that have lifted off. The James Webb Space Telescope has launched and unfolded perfectly at L2. Plans for our return to the moon are getting clearer. The global space economy continues to grow, and the importance of space and our shared national and economic security has never been greater. We're going to explore all those issues and more this week because it's through gatherings like Symposium that we all better understand each other, as well as the opportunities we can share and the challenges we can overcome together. This is the era of access and opportunity, and that will be on full display to everyone gathered here this week, both in person and virtually. Things are certainly different since we gathered this past August, and it's nice to finally see some faces. With that said, as we go about the week, masks are optional for everyone, but we ask that you respect one another's choices on whether to wear one or not. We have continued our virtual audience programming, and just as we did this past August, we are extending the reach of Symposium in real time to attendees around the world. Just as Space Foundation welcomes all of you here tonight in person, we extend a warm welcome to our virtual audience as well. By sharing the content of the next several days, both in person and virtually, we at Space Foundation do what we do best: inform, educate, and collaborate. All of you are here and online. The exclusive interviews and special features that are on our digital platform on demand, and also get previews at the end of the day, each day. At Space Foundation, we believe Space Symposium is no longer a single week in Colorado Springs, but rather a year-round means to inform, engage, and connect with the entire global space community. Saying those 3 words, inform, engage, and connect, reminds me of someone that I would like to pay tribute to tonight, because those words certainly describe him, but there are so many other words too. Some of those words to describe him are sharp, funny, engaging, practical, and dare I say, in front of a group of space community's most distinguished people, down to earth. I'm talking about P.J. O'Rourke, who was a longtime member of Space Foundation's board of directors. As many of you know, we lost P.J. earlier this year. The tributes that were shared about him from all corners of the world talked about his wit, his way with words, and of course, his legendary sense of humor. All of those things were true, but to Space Foundation, he was a source of inspiration in asking questions that needed to be asked and providing advice that would challenge us as well as inspire us. At moments like these, we're supposed to observe a moment of silence. Well, I don't think PJ would like that much. And even though he would have appreciated some quiet now and then, I think he'd much rather hear a round of thunderous applause to let him know his wit and his words resonated with the people he shared them with. So would you please join me for a brief moment of applause to honor PJ. Thank you. I know PJ would have enjoyed that very much. At the close of tonight's opening ceremony, we will open the largest and most expansive exhibit hall we have ever had. This year's exhibit center is sponsored by Ball Aerospace and will feature over 235 exhibits from around the world, showcasing the creativity, ingenuity, and craftsmanship of a community that never ceases to amaze or inspire. This past August, we were the first major group to utilize the expanded exhibit space in Bartleton Hall. Based on that experience and many of the comments and feedback all of you gave us, we've made some additional enhancements to make your experience that much better. When you visit, you'll be in awe of the incredible technology, current and future, that our amazing organizations have on display. However, I would like to draw your attention to one display that may not be so obvious. In the new Bartleton Hall, near the front registration desk, I ask that you take a moment out of your busy schedules to take a look at this year's International Student Art Contest winners. This is something Space Foundation does every year to showcase the creativity and imagination of children from all over the world. Every year we select a theme to challenge those young minds, and this year's theme is Living, Working, and Playing on the Moon, and was sponsored by Newsphere Venture Limited. We select a winner from each age group category, as well as an overall winner from every submission. This year, we received nearly 6,000 entries from 82 countries. Totally amazing. All of our finalists were selected prior to the current world situation. Out of those finalists, one stood out, and she absolutely nailed the theme. Her name is Victoria, a 16-year-old from Ukraine. And I want you to see her work so you can be in awe too. Sivko, is it possible to put it on the front screen too, so some of the people up front, maybe not? As you can see, there we go. As you can see with the theme that we had, just phenomenal to have an amphitheater on the moon, an astronaut with popcorn, the teddy bear, the reel, watching a movie, just phenomenal. And you know, even though we do not know Victoria's current situation, I think it's a great reminder to all of us that we have incredible talent in our world, and we should never forget our role and responsibility in preserving it. So it's now time to also recognize some other amazing talent as we convene the 37th Annual Space Symposium. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Laura Shepard Churchley, Chair of the Board of Directors for the Astronaut Memorial Foundation, Thad Altman, President and CEO, Astronaut Memorial Foundation, and Dan Saldana, the 2022 Alan Shepard Award winner.
First, I want to thank the Space Foundation and NASA for the partnership that we have in this award and the partnership that we have for remembering those special astronauts who make human spaceflight possible and really not forgetting those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. This is a special night. This award named after Alan Shepard because of his great accomplishment and great support we've received from him. But we share the stage tonight with Laura Shepard Churchley, who's also just recently off her space flight. And thank you, Laura, for all what you do. Dan Saldana epitomizes so much of what we need in inspiring the next generation. A person who had great accomplishments in the space industry and could have done a host of many different things, but he chose to come back and inspire the next generation of rocket scientists. Let him tell you your story. Dan Saldana.
Many thanks to the Astronaut Memorial Foundation, NASA, and the Space Foundation for selecting me to receive this prestigious award. It is with my sincerest appreciation that I accept this award. My life's journey included many, many people who encouraged, inspired, and impacted my life along the way. When I was a young boy, my dad instructed me that a life worth living is a life that gives back to society. It was his work ethic, dedication, service, and generosity to others that inspired me to attend college and have the opportunity to reach out to the stars by leading the development of space projects such as photo imaging satellites, space shuttle payloads, and biological CubeSat satellites. My passion and dreams began when my 5th grade class was selected to attend lectures at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, where I listened and marveled at Dr. Wernher von Braun share his passion for space travel and his dream of landing on the moon. These lectures changed my whole life forever, and what I would do to give back to society as my father instructed me to do. The biblical proverb states, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." I'm an example of that. I would like to thank my friend, my devoted wife of 52 years, and my daughters Diane and Doreen for encouraging me after retirement to fulfill my dream and give back to the next generation by creating a space program that would give students the ability to develop science experiments to the International Space Station. I would also like to thank the Valley Christian Schools of San Jose and Quest of Excellence, with their management, the engineers, teachers for supporting me as I led the development of the ISS Space Lab program. By the end of this month, together with our partner schools throughout the world now, we will have launched a total of 186 student science experiments to the space station. Once again, I'd like to give you thanks for everything.
The Space Foundation's Space Achievement Award is presented annually to an individual or organization that has demonstrated space achievement, breakthrough space technology, or program or product success that represents critical milestones in the evolution of space exploration and development. The 2022 Space Achievement Award is presented to the International Astronautical Federation in recognition of more than 70 years of promoting dialogue and inspiring cooperation between space nations. The IAF is the world's leading space advocacy body, with 433 members in 72 countries, including all leading space agencies, companies, research institutions, universities, institutes, and museums worldwide. The IAF organizes the annual International Astronautical Congress and other themed events, actively encourages the development of astronautics for peaceful purposes, and supports the publication and distribution of scientific and technical information related to space. The Space Foundation is proud to recognize the extraordinary efforts of the International Astronautical Federation, recipient of the 2022 Space Achievement Award.
Please welcome to the stage Christian Feistinger, Executive Director of the International Aeronautical Federation, and Clay Mowry, Incoming President, IAF.
Special thanks to the Space Foundation for giving us this special award tonight. I'm Clay Mowry. I'm the incoming president of the International Astronautical Federation. I'm here with Dr. Christian Feistinger, the executive director. We're humbled and honored to receive this on behalf of the 433 members of the organization. We do span 72 countries and 6 continents. It's really an honor. This past year was the 70th anniversary of the IAF. And we just celebrated in Paris at the spring meetings last week. The organization was created actually back in 1951 at the outset of the Cold War, when there were heightened tensions, a bit like the environment we're in now. It has always served as a place to bring together people that have maybe differing opinions and have a peaceful discussion about what's happening in space and how we use space and create more peace and better life here on Earth. We now have 30 agencies that are members of the IAF, including many from emerging nations all around the world. And the organization really is a platform for the next generation of space professionals. We had at the last Congress we held, over 50% of the participation came from people under 35 years old. We're quite proud of that. So we're honored to accept this award. Thank you again, Space Foundation. We're looking forward to forging a world where space and peace prevail. Thank you.
The Douglas S. Morrill Public Outreach Award honors an organization or individual who has made significant contributions to the public awareness and understanding about space programs. The 2022 Morrill Award is presented to 3 organizations that made human spaceflight accessible to the public in 2021: Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, and SpaceX. In July, Virgin Galactic's spaceship Unity dropped from its carrier aircraft VMS Eve and soared to an altitude of 86 kilometers, carrying company founder Sir Richard Branson, 3 passengers and 2 pilots to space, before returning safely to Earth. Also in July, Blue Origin's New Shepard spacecraft roared from its pad in West Texas, beginning a series of 3 flights in late 2021, with crews that included company founder Jeff Bezos, actor William Shatner, football great and television personality Michael Strahan, and Laura Shepard Churchley, daughter of Mercury astronaut Alan Shepard. In September, the SpaceX Inspiration 4 mission demonstrated, for the first time ever, that a crew comprised entirely of civilians could successfully orbit the Earth in a commercially produced spacecraft. Additionally, 2 other flights of the SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft prove that public-private space partnerships can succeed seamlessly. Congratulations to Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, and SpaceX, this year's recipients of the Douglas S. Morrill Public Outreach Award.
Please welcome to the stage Michael Kolglaser of Virgin Galactic, Bob Smith of Blue Origin, and Stephanie Bednarik of SpaceX.
Thank you, Tom. And a special thank you to the Space Foundation for organizing this symposium and for recognizing Virgin Galactic. It is an honor to be part of the small community of industry pioneers who are expanding the horizon of human innovation and making the dream of space a reality for more people. As an industry, our greatest strength is our unparalleled ability to captivate the imagination. More than 19 million people around the world tuned in to watch Virgin Galactic fly its Unity 22 mission. And the YouTube clips have had another 12 million people watch since then. And that's because what we're doing speaks to the deep-rooted human desire to explore, to reach higher, and to see further than ever before. Commercial spaceflight must create models and practices that are sustainable, environmentally aligned, scalable, and accessible, so that every person inspired by our dreams can one day realize their own potential. Opening space opens the imagination, and that's why we're here today. Ours is a vision for the world's first commercial space line that breaks down the walls to progress, deepens our understanding of the world, and brings us closer through a shared experience. That is what this award is all about. So I'm thrilled to accept it on behalf of the incredible team at Virgin Galactic who've brought us to where we are today, and I'm honored to be standing here today alongside Blue Origin and SpaceX, both of whom are doing incredible things to make spaceflight a reality for many others. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thanks, Space Foundation. I'm humbled to receive this award on behalf of the women and men in Blue Origin that made this all possible over a considerable period of time. But it has been just a recent period of time, basically 9 months, since we actually have flown 20 astronauts into space. And each one of those are obviously very important to us. But I wanted to highlight a few things as we think through those 20 that actually went and flew. Because they all hit three kind of categories. Those that were part of our overall trying to make some history, those that inspire, and those that really touch our heart. In the area of making history, we had some great firsts. We had the youngest person to ever fly into space, and we had the oldest man and the oldest woman to fly in space. We had the first parent and child to fly in space, and the first married couple to fly in space. That's just a few of the things that we actually are able to do for the historical component of what we focus on. The inspiration is equally important. We had some great inspirational astronauts. We had astronaut Laura Shepard-Churchley fly with us, an original Shepard to go up on the new Shepard, as we like to say. We had also Wally Funk, who is a force of nature by herself. She's a Mercury 13 that we were so glad that we were able to actually change that part of overall history. We flew the artist and sci-fi icon William Shatner, as well as a great communicator in Michael Strahan. But there are also people that really touched our heart. We got to fly some of our own, Audrey Powers and Gary Lai, who are role models for anybody in any industry, anywhere. And we also got to fly, many of you know, George Neal, who was one of the founders of what we have here in the commercial spaceflight industry. So all of those were the great accomplishments that this team was able to put together. But the thing that I think every one of us would say was one of the great contributions was that we actually had our first ticket go for $28 million, and for us to go donate that to actually a bunch of STEM charities. We had 19 partners that we did, as well as our own Club for the Future. Because core to our mission, much like the Space Foundation, is actually inspiring that next generation through our Club for the Future. So I'll just make a shameless plug for all of you that have kids, grandkids, or just want to do one yourself. Put a postcard in, and we'll fly it to space, because there's nothing better than actually putting dreams on somebody's capsule and flying it. So thanks very much for this award. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Space Foundation.
On behalf of my 10,000 colleagues at SpaceX, thank you very much for this award. Thank you to the Space Foundation, Tom, for recognizing these achievements of SpaceX and my colleagues at Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic. At SpaceX, we're working hard every day to make life a multiplanetary species. It truly is a part of what we're doing every single day, every single hour at work. Ultimately, we believe that a future where we are a spacefaring civilization is more exciting than one that we're not, and we're proud of the work that we're doing to accomplish that, and everyone in this room is contributing to that broader goal. So thank you very much, and thank you to the Space Foundation.
The John L. Jack Swigert Jr. Award for Space Exploration was established by the Space Foundation to honor the Colorado native by recognizing extraordinary contributions to the mission of understanding space through exploration. The Space Foundation is proud to name NASA and the University of Arizona OSIRIS-REx team as the 2022 recipient of the John L. Jack Swigert Jr. Award for its pioneering study and sample return mission to the near-Earth asteroid Bennu. Launched on September 8, 2016, OSIRIS-REx reached the 500-meter-wide asteroid in 2018. Built by Lockheed Martin and its partners, OSIRIS-REx spent more than 2 years gathering information about Bennu's size, shape, mass, and composition, while monitoring its spin and orbital trajectory. Before leaving Bennu, the spacecraft successfully collected a sample of rock and dust that will be returned to Earth for scientific study. The vehicle departed the asteroid in May of 2021 and is expected to return to Earth and land in September of 2023. We congratulate NASA and the University of Arizona OSIRIS-REx team, winners of the 2022 John L. Jack Swigert Jr. Award for Space Exploration.
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Thomas Zurbuchen, NASA's Associate Administrator for Science Mission Directorate, Dr. Dante Loretta, Professor of Planetary Science of Cosmochemistry of the University of Arizona, and members of the NASA OSIRIS-REx team.
On behalf of the entire OREX team, I want to thank the Space Foundation and all of you who had something to do with this amazing award. And I just want to tell you how honored I am that this award carries the name that is on it. Apollo 13 is truly one of the iconic stories in our industry, a story, frankly, that I used in the classroom, and I've made my kids watch many times more often than I wanted to, because it's a story of individuals coming together in the face of adversity, in a face of difficulty, and turning into an excellent team. Once you've seen it, you get addicted to it. This team in front of us is an excellent team that consists of the University of Arizona, NASA Goddard, Lockheed Martin, Kinetics, and many others who together did something in the middle of COVID that was absolutely unthinkable. When we thought about it, we worried about it tremendously, kind of stealing a sample from this monster, which is Bennu. I want to tell you that, of course, this is one of several missions in a portfolio looking at the history of our solar system, these asteroids that are out there and carry parts of our own history, whether it's Lucy, that is on the way back to Earth in just a few months, Psyche, that's going to launch in August, or DART, that's going to have an impact onto an asteroid in September, deliberately to learn how to deflect such asteroids. This is one of those many stories. And yes, whether it's Apollo 13 or this one, when science and engineering come together, we can do new discoveries and make histories that, again, inspire so many. Dante is the principal investigator. Go ahead.
Thank you, Thomas, for your continued support of the mission and for this team. It's been a real pleasure to work with the agency to achieve this mission success. I can tell you 18 years ago when I first met with representatives from Lockheed Martin and the then director of the Lunar and Planetary Lab, Dr. Michael Drake, I was a young scientist, cosmochemist, studying meteorite samples, trying to unravel the origin of life and the origin of Earth as a habitable world. And the idea that I could pick an asteroid somewhere in the solar system and have samples delivered back to me seemed like magic. And it is a form of magic. It is the concerted will of an amazing team of people who, for over a decade, worked tirelessly on the single objective of getting that sample safely off the surface of Bennu and bringing it back to the Earth. And along the way, there were some amazing achievements. And I'm not one to brag. Well, maybe I am one to brag, so I'm going to do it a little bit. While we were at the asteroid, we set 2 Guinness World Records. We performed the highest resolution mapping of a planetary body ever achieved. We performed precision guidance to direct the spacecraft to within 70 centimeters of a target location on an asteroid, literally on the other side of the solar system. And we collected well over 100 grams of sample. The final amount will be revealed to us next year when that capsule lands in Utah in September of 2023. The best times are still ahead of us. We're going to bring that sample back. It is a scientific treasure, a time capsule from the dawn of the solar system, and we have labs around the world eagerly awaiting that material to unravel and answer some of the biggest questions that we ask ourselves as a species. Where did we come from, and are we alone in the universe? So thank you to the Space Foundation. Thank you to the amazing team, which is represented on stage with us today. And stay tuned. We've got a lot of exciting stuff ahead of us.
Please welcome Tom Wilson, Corporate Vice President and President of Northrop Grumman's Space Systems.
Good evening. I am honored and very excited to speak to you today at this 37th Space Symposium Opening Ceremony. 37 years, think about it. Do you remember where you were 37 years ago? It was 1985 to be exact. The 80s, the decade of the space shuttle. In 1985 specifically, NASA launched a record 9 space shuttle missions. And the growth and progress we've witnessed in this industry in the past 37 years has been nothing short of astonishing. Advancement that is in large part thanks to many generations of space leaders who have helped pave the way for the amazing innovations we are seeing in space today. One of those leaders who comes to my mind is General Thomas Moorman. Many of you probably knew General Moorman, who sadly passed away in June of 2020. As I was preparing for today's events, I was reflecting on all of General Moorman's contributions and asked myself, what was Moorman doing 37 years ago? Turns out it was almost 37 years ago to the date, April 1st, 1985, that General Moorman pinned on his first star. And he served as the Director of Space Systems of the Office of Secretary of the Air Force in this post. That was 12 years before he joined the Space Foundation Board of Directors, where General Moorman spent 13 more years contributing to this great organization. General Moorman's life and career were distinguished by extraordinary national service, and his legacy with the space community is truly monumental. So would you please join me for a brief moment of applause in the honor of General Thomas Moorman? Okay, just one more throwback. You may or may not remember this one. I was still a junior in high school when this happened, but back in 1985, the first studies on concepts and technologies for a more powerful Hubble began 5 years before Hubble was even launched. That's right, it was the beginning of the James Webb Space Telescope. And this year, we witnessed the results of those first studies unfold into space and share a first glimpse of the unknown. Now, 37 years to get Webb to space was a little bit longer than many of us planned or wanted. But what an incredible testament to what is possible through global contributions, partnership, and collaboration when we are working as one team on a shared mission. Speaking of, we have several of our global partners here with us today. It's great to see so many of you in person this year, and it's just another reminder of the truly collaborative mission of the Space Foundation. All that said, I'm overwhelmed thinking about all the discoveries that Webb will make and the impact it will have on humanity. And today, as Webb begins its mission to solve the mysteries of our universe, we are all here to find and share ways to solve the latest challenges in this new space era. Today, we are doing unbelievable things in this industry, and we're raising the bar for one another. That's a necessity. The rapid pace of technological innovation is forcing us to think differently and explore new approaches to traditional ways. And industry advancements are repositioning how we are looking for, and at near-term capability, solutions to some of our biggest problems. As we navigate through this challenging space domain, we must leverage our collective expertise in this business if we're going to succeed. For most of us, some of the most critical work we do is in national security. Space is a warfighting domain, not the sanctuary it was 37 years ago. And while the space domain and global market are changing rapidly, the threats to space remain. If we are truly going to sustain and protect the growth of this emerging space ecosystem, we cannot take our foot off the gas on evolving our traditional infrastructure and foundational methods that have kept us safe, collaborative, and governed thus far. We must simultaneously be accelerating the pace of innovation and near-term solutions in support of our shared mission to protect our people and our shared home that we call Earth. That requires balance. The future space enterprise requires the balanced mix of foundational expertise and trailblazing innovation. We must work together to advance, explore, and build new space security capabilities without disrupting today's critical missions across all domains. As we begin to embrace new acquisition strategies for national security space missions, we must stay laser-focused on the threat. Looking at the commercial landscape, we can leverage and augment some of that to meet requirements needed for critical missions. But when it comes to these critical missions, particularly in deterrence, warning, tracking, and communications, the focus must always be on finding and selecting the best-in-class solutions. Finding the balance in providing the best next-generation solutions is on all of us. While we continue to make extraordinary strides in human space exploration, the future that we are experiencing starts here on this planet. And there's only one way for us to secure that: together, one home, one industry, advocating for a better future. Now, before I close, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to address another challenge and opportunity area, and that is talent. While the race for innovation and best-in-class solutions heightens, the need for talented people who can help us achieve it intensifies. Everyone in this room understands what we're up against here. Particularly with an aging workforce, opening the doors to a flood of new generation with different needs, wants, and desires. And just like me and my teams, I'm sure this often keeps you up at night. So what can we do about it? One critical area we can all focus on more is partnering better to fuel the supply of young space professionals. We all need to take a giant step forward with our investment and support to improve students and skills in STEM. The Space Foundation is a great example of what we can and need to do more of to build the next generation of space leaders. We need to improve the overall quality and accessibility of STEM education through teacher, student, and community engagement programs. Your contributions and partnership to organizations like the Space Foundation and other educational nonprofits is critical to ensuring resources and funding are more widely available for our next generation of space pioneers and leaders. We need to work together to ensure we are building the work environment that new talent wants to be part of, and we are introducing our field expertise and missions to students of all ages. The work we do is not just cool and exciting. The work we do truly matters, and we're pushing the boundaries of what's possible along the way. We know the legacy we're going to leave behind, but can you imagine what theirs will be? On behalf of the Space Foundation and Northrop Grumman, I'd like to thank you for being here today, and I look forward to what lies ahead in the next 37 years as we advocate together for our home as one industry for a better future. Thank you.
With every advancement this industry makes, the limits of technology move forward. So we forge ahead. With every barrier we collectively break, there's another one waiting beyond. So we push further. With every new possibility we discover, we uncover new ways of defining the future. So we all look deeper. We aren't content just knowing what is. We want to realize what's next. Because what's next is how our organizations fuel innovation. It's how we drive performance and how we power revolutionary ideas. For every groundbreaking technology, we look for new barriers to shatter, new limits to push, and new futures to unearth. Our industry lives for what's next. Because what's next, you wouldn't want to miss.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Catherine Thornton, Chairwoman of the Board of Directors, Space Foundation.
It's great music to walk on to. Good evening, and as Tom said earlier, welcome back. It's great to see you all again here at this symposium in person. First of all, I want to congratulate all of this year's awardees. It's truly another impressive year of accomplishment within our community, and each of you has raised the bar of achievement for all of us. Congratulations. The paths that each of you took to get to this moment were not without trial or challenge. In fact, it's those trials and challenges that ultimately made you the success you are today. The same holds true for all of you in our symposium audience. It's the tough days, not the easy ones, that best shape us. Those are trials by fire, outcomes of plans that did not go as intended, and the barriers that had to be overcome. Sometimes those barriers are cultural, other times they're operational. Then there are barriers that no one has broken before. To be first in anything is to be distinguished, but when it comes to being a pioneering first in our industry, in engineering, science, and more, that distinction is far above all other honors that might come our way. It's a testament to heart, spirit, knowledge, courage, and commitment. There's an Irish proverb that goes, "It takes time to build castles," which means that hard work and planning will reap rewards eventually. The rewards that come from so-called castle building also often yield change that transforms lives as much as history. Tonight, we honor a person who has built some incredible castles in our community and enabled rewards that are still unfolding on this planet and beyond. Her name is Joanne McGuire, and this is her story.
My dad came to this country as an immigrant when he was 4, and eventually ended up in upstate New York, where he met my mom. They were very young parents and had 12 children. Joanne is number 5.
There were 2 things. One was teamwork, and the other was self-reliance. And teamwork because she had to work with her siblings, share work, chores, whatever. And self-reliance because her mom was paying a lot of attention to the younger children.
We learned very early how to be self-reliant. What you could do for yourself, you did do for yourself.
You know, Joanne begins her life in Connecticut, has a father in aerospace, and recognizes that the breadwinner, who's this strong Irish American and is defining himself in engineering.
She loved math, but she was also really good at words. But her aim was to be a mathematician.
She got a degree in engineering, electrical engineering at Michigan State, and then moved on to system engineering at UCLA.
She was working 20 hours a week and going to school at the same time with the expectation about 2 years to complete the degree. About a third of the way through that time, she submitted an application to the control systems area, and so we hired her. She was quite a star early on. She was assigned to a number of tasks. It wasn't long, 2 or 3 years, as a member of the technical staff, which is kind of an entry position, that she moved to the staff on at the department level. And then she went to work on a long-term program. So she worked about 4 years on a classified program, and after a couple of years, she did one other program, and then that's when Dan Golden tapped her to be the program manager for the Defense Support Program.
So I was running what was then called the Defense Projects Division, which worked on very important national security issues. And one of the really key technologies involved in a number of the different systems that they built was attitude control. And I started asking around, who's the mover and shaker at attitude control? And it came back, Joanne McGuire.
In the post-Cold War environment, there had been significant downturns in the military aerospace defense industry. But with the events of September 11th, a resurgence was underway to, in effect, prepare the United States far better in the space business, military communications business, intelligence business. And we saw that coming. And in addition to that, Joanne led the business development team that was pursuing the NPOST program, a very, very large weather satellite program, and the James Webb Space Telescope in 2002.
A major competition was run underneath my successor, Sean O'Keefe, and TRW was picked. And only about a year or two ago, I was told Joanne was the one who led the charge.
You immediately figure out that she has huge dynamic range. She understands the engineering, and she understands why the engineering matters. So she can put the value proposition together of, if we're going to climb this mountain, here's the ingredients, here's the team we need, here's the job that needs doing.
I think Joanne is widely recognized as a brilliant business strategist, but in my experience, she was also a brilliant talent strategist. She could see things in people that they couldn't see in themselves, and she had a way of putting you in jobs before you were ready to be in those jobs, or in reality you might have been ready, you just didn't know it, and then helping you succeed in that job so you could get to the next level.
She develops relationships with people that are enduring, they're real. She has an uncanny way of identifying people when making assignments, picking the right person for the right job.
She calls me to her office and she says, "Hey Dave, look, I think you've got potential to be a leader in this company, but I don't think you're ready. I think you need some career broadening, and I want you to go to Washington, D.C. for a year, maybe 2, and then come back here and we'll see about making you a director." And I said, well, I said, "That all sounds good to me, but can't you broaden me here in California?" And she looked at me for a second and she said, "No, you have to go to DC." And so I said, "Well, can I have a week to think about that?" And she said, "Yeah, you got to take a week to think about it." And so I came back a week later and I said, "Joanne, I'm going to go." And she said, "Yeah, of course you're going to go. You weren't going to tell me no."
I think one of the proudest things I recall in my experiences here at Space Park is the extraordinary accomplishments of women who were leaders here. And to my knowledge, most, if not all of them, mentored under Joanne. There's a large number of women who I think were able to look at the work environment and the success that Joanne had and use that as a guide star to lead them through their careers.
It's easy in 2022 to not fully appreciate the problem that we're talking about. But you go off to study electrical engineering and you look around and you look up and you don't see anybody that looks like you. And then you come into industry and you have your first job and you're seeing how the ropes are and you're looking for birds of a feather to mentor you, and it's not many birds, not many feathers. So she's having to define a way. So as she's moving forward and having some success, she's smart enough and quick enough to sort of say, I ought to help the people behind me have an easier path.
The other thing she brought to every job she had was a fierce competitiveness. She was, I think, the most competitive person I've ever met in my life. It made me sad to know when she left TRW Northrop to go to Lockheed that I was going to have to compete with her.
I don't know if I should say this on camera, but what I can say is that when, up until the point Joanne McGuire left, the few years before that, we had an incredible run of big program wins. James Webb Space Telescope was, kind of at the tail end of that, and so her fingerprints were all over the future of the company in 2001, 2002. And set us up for success for the next 20 years.
It was a great day when Joanne McGuire joined Lockheed Martin. It is somebody who understands the technology and the mission, and we immediately plugged her in to special programs, which allowed her to utilize her expertise on the national security program. And as Joanne was managing the Lockheed Martin space portfolio, SBIRS was front and center, so she could take her mission understanding from TRW and apply it to the next generation of sensing missile launches from space, but also doing important jobs like battle space awareness.
I would characterize her as very demanding, but not unreasonably so. In other words, it was to make sure people did the best they could. And so you could expect that from Joanne. And I would say too, there was never any doubt of where you stood with Joanne. In other words, there was no fuzz on it. That if she was happy with you, you knew it, and if she was unhappy, you knew that too.
She has a steel I-beam in her back. Not to be obnoxious and say what can't be done, but to understand what the problem is and to get it done.
I think Joanne had a skill in knowing how hard she could push somebody before they broke, and she did that. She would swear like a sailor on occasions and be smooth as silk on others. And it depended on the circumstances and the individual or the team she was dealing with.
Joanne's superpower is her command of the English language. Every word of the English language, even the words that have not quite made it into the dictionary.
All I can say, I'm not surprised that she's getting the award. She did this on two different companies across multiple customers' communities. As Jeff mentioned, the track record of wins, the program execution, her ability to, maybe the most important thing ties back to something I said earlier, which is it wasn't just what Joanne did for Joanne, and it wasn't just what Joanne did for the country. It was Joanne creating all these other space leaders that are running these companies now that learned from Joanne. And that alone is a fantastic accomplishment.
Joanne is brilliant at what she does. Brilliant at what she does. But it's not just the technical piece. It's not. She is an incredible person who cares for and knows how to mentor everyone, but especially women.
It's always nice to be recognized by your peers. And the Space Foundation is a collection of space-minded peers at an international scale. And James Hill is their award that says, you have arrived, you have done it, and although you're not done yet, we're putting you up on the top shelf so that we can all salute your accomplishments.
I think that her contributions over decades have made a difference to the nation, to the world in general, and to the people she touched individually. And I think those characteristics and the excellence that she demonstrated day in, day out make her a extremely fitting recipient to the James E. Hill Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Directors and the entire Space Foundation team, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage the 2022 winner of the General James E. Hill Lifetime Space Achievement Award, Joanne McGuire.
Goodness, I am touched. It is obviously an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to accept this award tonight. It's also tremendously touching to me and heartwarming. Also, to be considered in the company of former awardees like industry titans Norm Augustine and Cy Ramo, and space pioneers like Neil Armstrong and Sally Ride is just an astronomical honor. When I reflect upon my career in space, I am both humbled and proud, but my overwhelming emotion is one of gratitude. I am thankful for my many opportunities to work on both vital national security missions and awe-inspiring exploration missions. But even more than that, I am thankful for the extraordinarily talented and dedicated colleagues I was fortunate to work with throughout my career. Coworkers, customers, teammates, subcontractors, suppliers. The accomplishments I am credited with are in fact their accomplishments. More than anything, though, I'm thankful for my family. I'm talking to you, Joey, Jenna, Joyce, who've been unfailingly supportive through the highs and the lows, making sacrifices big and small so that I could pursue my passion for space. While I am now largely a spectator of space endeavors these days, I am struck by both the challenges and opportunities that you in today's space community confront. Unprecedented commercial expansion, exploding, no, bad choice of words, expanding frontiers for space exploration, both human and robotic, and a space domain that is increasingly crowded and contested. I'm not sure I'm envious of those of you in the mix today, but I certainly wish you heartfelt success. Your success will redefine the limits of space in the 21st century. In closing, I'd like to deeply thank the Space Foundation, Tom, Catherine, for this recognition. Moreover, I'd be remiss if I did not salute Space Foundation for their long-standing, unwavering support and advocacy for the global space ecosystem, starting from primary school students all the way up through governments and government agencies and customers and industry. Space Foundation really provides unique value, really unique value on behalf of its member organizations. And finally, on a personal note, I would tell you it is an absolute delight to be back at the Space Symposium here at the Broadmoor, an unrivaled venue for a peerless space industry event. I hope you all have a wonderful symposium, and thank you again from the bottom of my heart for this honor. It is a magnificent tribute. Thank you.